Coming up on this week's episode, we're talking Chelsea, Ipswich and the battle for the European places in the Premier League. There's a quiz, plus some wonders of why and who am I, so let's get started. Hello and welcome to a new episode of View from Solon podcast. It's Chris here. Liam is here as well. Hello, Liam.
Hello, Chris. How you doing, mate?
Much better.
That's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we are peaking at the right time of the season, so and it's nice that we haven't conceded a goal in a week. So scored 7 goals, beat Tottenham for you. So like I said, we would. Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, I mean, you kind of ruined it for yourself.
Yeah.
But you know, all good. I guess I guess we'll start with Chelsea, and I guess just the improvement over the last sort of few weeks. I mean, if you take the Arsenal game out, because we'll wipe that from everyone's memory, I think we've lost one game in the last 12, I think it is.
Yeah.
And which was against Arsenal, who are, fighting for the Premier League. So, it's come good, and even, with the amount of injuries we've had over the last sort of month or so, it was good to see a couple of familiar faces on the bench on Sunday.
Yeah,
against West Ham. So Nkunku was back, which was good. But I mean, going back a bit further to the Chelsea Tottenham game last Thursday, and the bench that Chelsea had, not one real first team player really was there. I guess Bettinelli was probably the most experienced of the bunch, but very thin on the ground. But we play. I know Tottenham didn't play very well at all, but we play really well. It just feels like everything is just starting to click into place. Shame it took this long, but they finally found a bit of confidence, and it really shows when we're playing at the moment that we look confident. We look more when we're on the ball. We're always forward thinking, not looking to pass back, which, for the first 6-7 months of the season, we were, we did all the time instead of, trying to find someone moving forward. We were going backwards, but a few names. Jackson scored quite a few goals. And hitting the target a bit more. You can tell the confidence, but I think, if you take out Palmer over the last sort of 2-3 months, I think Madueke is up there with one of our most improved players, I think, from the second half of the season. He looks to take people on all the time. Whenever he gets the ball, his first thought is can I take it round them? If not, I'm going to find a way to do it. And it's definitely showing. And then, obviously, Sunday just gone. I thought we'd struggle against West Ham. I don't know what it was. I just felt like that after the Tottenham game, ending the game on such a high, my brain was thinking about all the other games that we've played this season where we played quite well and then just gone on and lost the next game. We didn't. West Ham were terrible. The defending, I don't know what they were doing half the time in defence. There was just gaps everywhere. And they did hit the bar. They did hit the bar 3 times. I mean, Jared Bowen hit the bar 3 times, but they never looked like scoring. And to be fair, we could have had a lot more, but Just want to take 5 now.
Their season has kind of petered out a little bit. Obviously, they announced that Lopetegui is coming in next season. I think a lot of West Ham fans were quite happy to see the back of Moyes, I think, which is a bit unfair because he won him a European trophy. But
I mean, I just think it's a bit harsh. I think at least wait until the end of the season to name another manager.
I don't know what announcing it with 2 games to go has gained them, to be honest.
Would that if someone said to you, "Oh, by the way, you're going to lose your job, but we want you to work the next 2 weeks, and then you'll be replaced," it's not really going to motivate you to try and actually, win those last 2 games. And they've been talking about him going, I think, on and off for pretty much the whole season, but I think he's done pretty well. I mean, like you said, he's won them the European Cup, and to be fair, they're not probably, if anything, they're probably higher than what I would have expected them to be in the league this season. So,
I mean, they're still 9th. I think they're looking around, and I think obviously Villa have done well this season, but you're looking at teams that have previously done well, like Brighton and Brentford, and they've not had amazing seasons. I think West fans would probably have wanted to have been in the top 6 with those teams falling away. And where I think that, they slightly have a point, they're a point ahead of Bournemouth. They're 3 points ahead of Wolves. 2 teams that I think we all sort of thought were going to have a bit of a difficult season this year. It's not turned out necessarily that way, but I think West Ham fans, we're making fun of Man United, or we will be, and they're 5 points ahead of West Ham, and they haven't played well, United, especially not recently. So I think maybe that is where the West Ham fans are coming from slightly, but I think you can. The transition season. They sold Rice at the end of the day. He was such an important player for them. You can't replace a player like that, at least not.
No.
So I think they were never going to be as good as they have been the last couple of years. So I
don't think it's done him any. I think winning the European Cup on his CV is going to be good.
Yeah.
And he's to be fair, he's still probably going to get a job within the Premier League.
Yeah.
Or if not one of the top league, I'm not saying a top team, but one of the top leagues around Europe maybe. But there's no way he's not going to get another job.
No, I think so. If he wants one, that is. I mean, he might decide to hang up at the end of the day, and that's it.
Maybe.
But I think the first team to get rid of their manager next season, he will be the first person linked if he hasn't found a job over the summer. So. But going back to obviously Chelsea that we were going to talk about anyway, you have hit form at the end of the season. I don't know whether it's a case of there was nothing to play for, so you sort of started playing with a bit of freedom a couple of months ago, and now it's looking like, top 5 is a stretch. Spurs are on bad form, but I can't see them losing against Burnley and Sheffield United. But top 6 is a possibility. If you keep on winning your games, you're still only 2 points behind Newcastle. And really, when you think the start you had to the season, that's not a bad end, is it, really?
We lost 8 league games before Christmas.
Yeah. And only 3.
3 cents, yeah. So
them has been since about February as well. So, form has drastically turned around.
We haven't lost at home, I don't think, since December, I think.
The form is there. It's just how you obviously rebuild in summer with Thiago Silva leaving. Who do you get in to replace him, I suppose? But yeah, it has been a really good end. And Madueke, you've mentioned him, but he was probably for me the standout player against Villa when you played us. He's still only young as well, and yeah, he's got a real bright future. But the worry, we were all sort of laughing at these 8-year contracts, but the worry is that they might actually turn into a decent side. I think everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it might actually come good.
It really will be hit or miss. I don't think there's going to be any in between in given these players such long contracts. It's either going to work really well or it's going to fail miserably.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I would say I am swaying towards it looks like it might be working.
It's starting to. It just depends on. I mean, if you can fend off interest, because there probably will be. I don't think maybe Palmer because he's only just joined this season, but there will be interest if you can continue this trajectory. There will
I personally don't think they're going to look for another defender. I think
everyone's there.
We've got enough. I think over the last sort of 3-4 weeks, Chalobah and Badiashile I've been quite impressed with. I mean, Dizazi I'm still not sure about. I find he's quite clunky, and he always looks like he's got a mistake in him. And I like the fact that Chalobah is, he's been at Chelsea for a long, long time, and I like that. And that's one of the things I most like about Gallagher, is that I feel that to have someone come from the setup, the youth setup, I always think that they want it more. They want to succeed. They want to win trophies at the club where they grew up. And hopefully we've got Reece James back next year.
Yes, he's been
my main worry with him is even though he's been out for the majority of the season, I just got a feeling that if a good enough offer was to come through for him, I think that they'd be tempted to sell him purely on the basis of the amount of injuries he's had in the last 2 years. And if they can get good money for him, they might just cash out on him and just say, look, we've had an offer of X amount that we can't really turn down purely on the basis that he's just not played enough over the last 2 years. So I don't know. It's interesting. He's the only other thing is he's club captain. So I don't know.
It's pure profit for PSR, which I think we've all said this season. We're really seeing it for Everton and Forest deducted points. And there's other clubs that are going to be in trouble, but the last thing you wanted to see was the club selling their best youngsters, and it looks like clubs are going to have to do in order to meet those profit and sustainability rules, which is not what they're bought in for. No. But it's what turns out to be happening. So, obviously Chelsea, just like Villa, have been named as a club that might need to sell. You probably have more first-team academy graduates than we do, but Ramsey is one of the people that's apparently going to be up for sale for us because he'll be pure profit. Maybe if a big offer did come in for Reece James, I could see obviously Chalobah and Gallagher both being under scrutiny in the summer, especially if Gallagher's pick for England has a good tournament in the summer, then they might be tempted by a bigger offer, and it might just help you pass those regulations. But we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I'm probably going to sound completely biased here, but I think Gallagher should start for England.
For England, yeah. I mean, he's been on good form this season, and I think it's got even better probably really for the last, I'd say 5-6 weeks. I think that I've seen him play. He's just gone up a notch again. I think so. I think
if you're playing three in the middle, I mean, it's a given. Rice and Bellingham are going to play whatever.
It's that other person, isn't it?
I think he is a perfect person to be playing as a third midfielder.
Because the way Rice has been playing, he's not a holding midfielder anymore as such for Arsenal. He's kind of getting forward. He's chipping in with a few goals. I think if he wants to play that role for England, you're going to need to...
Even if you wanted to add someone else, that you could always have Bellingham play behind Kane. So he's versatile enough to be just behind Kane. There's there's no gripes there. He can do that job. It's going to be interesting. I think we'll probably have to dedicate a whole podcast to that at some point in the near future on where we think, who we think's going and what sort of formation is he likely to play, because we seem to have a huge amount of attackers and wingers, and it's the defence is probably where it needs some work. So, and I mean Chalobah, he's finding form at the right time. So I would say he probably can't be counted out in going. And he wouldn't have, say, a month, 2 months ago, he wouldn't have been on that radar. But I think the way he's playing at the moment, I think he's almost justified himself getting in. I'm not saying he needs to start.
He's a decent utility player, though.
Just try him in the friendlies that are coming out. Just try him. If it don't work, it don't work.
He can play.
He can play right back. He can play centre back. He can play defensive midfield if he needs to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have a player like that in the squad just in case.
But yeah, no, it's looking up. It is looking up. We might as well quickly look into, I guess, the European places. I guess top 5, I would say, is almost a given. Like you said, Tottenham's still got to play Burnley and Sheffield United, so I can't see them dropping 6 points there. So, so we've got Newcastle in 6th, Chelsea 7th, Man United 8th, Chelsea, Man United on the same points, but Man United now in a negative goal difference after last night, which I put Crystal Palace to win that, so I was happy that they won, but I just didn't expect them to win so easily. But when you've got a centre-back pairing of Casemiro and Johnny Evans, who've got a combined age of probably about 80, and probably the legs of a combined age of about 100 after last night, because it wasn't pretty from a defensive point of view. I mean, the goalkeeper as well. Why did they ever get rid of De Gea? It's just unbelievable, isn't it, when you think about they got rid of their goalkeeper that they relied on for 6-7 years, and they brought him in, and he just doesn't look great. I'm not going to lie, especially after last night.
Doesn't seem like much of an upgrade. I mean, the reasoning behind it was Onana can play better with his feet, and has that eccentricity. I think. I remember not long ago Guardiola saying he was the best player in the Champions League final, and I don't think he's a bad shot stopper. I think that's fine. It's just some of his decision making is.
His positioning as well ain't great, and he got beaten at the near post twice last night. So
yeah, I don't think it is much of an upgrade. But what next for United? I mean, it's the wheels have fallen off. I think they've. I don't know whether they've decided who's staying and who's going next season, and the ones that are going are down in tools. But Casemiro looks like a player who's already retired. He's just not been bothered really since.
He was treading water for 90% of the game last night. He couldn't cope with Mateta. He was getting bullied by him up front. He's nothing like he was last season, Casemiro. It's like he's completely dropped off.
No, and United fans obviously love Bruno Fernandes, and maybe if he played for my team, I'd understand it a bit more. I don't quite get it, but they just seem to lack a leader, and he's obviously captain, and I can't see anyone dragging people up and saying, "Come on, let's go again." I'll go back to the FA Cup game against Coventry. if there's a leader in that team, it's Harry Maguire. He was the only one at the end of the game that was going and shaking hands with the opponent.
Yeah.
Big I am. But there was no one with the armband on that pitch that when it got to 3-1 or 3-2, when commentary started coming back into it, if you have a proper leader, proper captain on the pitch, they just say, right, we'll keep it tight, shut up shop for 10 minutes, and then nothing happens. And if that's a Man City or an Arsenal or a Liverpool and they're 3-0 up and they concede a goal, you can guarantee the next 10 minutes will be the most boring game of football you will see, because they will just stop. The whole game will stop just to kind of pause that momentum. It just doesn't happen for United. There's gaps everywhere in their defence. There was some analysis done before the game, and it was about the Burnley game and how easy it was straight from kickoff. A Man United kickoff as well for Burnley to counter-attack, and there was no one running. There was just such a lack of effort on the Man United part that it's just schoolboy stuff. There's I think they highlighted the person that was making the forward run was Dallow at left back.
Oh, I've seen this, yeah. I have seen this, yeah.
The long ball went forward, they lose possession and then go, oh, hang on a minute, we've only got 2 defenders back.
Was this when the centre-backs had their back to the goalkeeper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one was showing for the ball, and so I don't know whether Ten Hag going is the answer, because I think whoever comes in is going to have the same problem.
Yeah,
Is that need to change.
I don't know. If they finish 8th, I can't see him keeping him in his job. Especially if they lose the cup final as well.
But I can see if they finish 8th, I can see him going, even if they win the FA Cup final. To be honest, I don't think he will be here next season. But I don't know who they'd bring in that would change the fundamental attitude problem.
Moise
might be back.
So, well, looking at 6th, 7th, and 8th, it looks like the 8th will probably get you a Europa Conference position, but it's probably going to depend on if Man United finish 8th. But if they win the FA Cup, then they'll go in the Europa League.
Yeah,
and the 7th will get the Conference League. So,
well, interesting. Man United have got to play Newcastle.
Yeah, that's the game where, for as a Chelsea fan, you're probably going to want Man United to win that one.
Yeah.
Just because of their goal difference is so bad that we can afford them to win that, and then that would give us the chance to actually leapfrog Newcastle as long as we win. I mean, Brighton have got to play all 3 of the teams, so they are they're going to have a big say in what happens here. But I did a little thing before the podcast on points wise. I did have Newcastle finishing 6th, Chelsea 7th, and Man United 8th, as it was. Because I had Newcastle beating Brighton, drawing with Man United, and then beating Brentford on the last day of the season. I had Chelsea to beat Forest, draw with Brighton, and beat Bournemouth. And then I had Man United to lose to Arsenal, draw against Newcastle, and either draw or lose against Brighton. So, I think it will stick. I personally think, as it is, I think the top 8 will finish how it is now. I can't see anyone. I don't think Tottenham are going to catch you out.
Do you think that around Christmas you'd be in that mixture?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, if you go by form in the last sort of 10 games, only Man City and Arsenal have got more points than Chelsea in the last 10 games. And you look at Man United in the last 10 games, they're 14th. They've got 10 points from 10 games.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, that's the same as West Ham.
Yeah.
And even if you look sort of just after, just middle of December. So last 20 games, Chelsea have got more points than Villa, and they got more points than Tottenham.
Yeah.
It's only City, Arsenal, Liverpool who have more points than Chelsea.
Which is exactly what we did last season, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're doing what you did last year, except you weren't actually in the bottom three like we were. But yeah, it puts you in a good position for next year. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can carry on, I think the main objective now is looking like that we will get into Europe. Which competition? Who knows yet? I mean, I can't see Man United beating Man City in the FA Cup final personally, but stranger things have happened. So, Conference League or Europa League, either way, it's going to be okay.
You keep telling yourself that, mate. It will be okay.
It will be okay. It'll be okay. I don't think West Ham are going to catch us up. I don't think so. No. Yeah, I mean, we're 5 points clear of them now, so yeah. So we will we'll wait and see, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But we'll move over to the Championship, and we've got a new team coming up. A team that haven't been in the Premier League for 20 years, maybe?
Yeah, just over 22, 23 years, something like that. Yeah.
Ipswich. I mean, they've had a fantastic. They only came up last year as well, didn't they? So
it's the third year back in the Championship.
They've had a fantastic season, and they started off really well. I remember them starting off the season very well, and they did dip a bit, sort of mid-season. But the last few games they've been on fire. To be fair, I mean,
last two games seen them over. They had a bit of a slightly dodgy run, sort of
Christmas time. Yeah, looks like it. Yeah.
For a few games, but yeah, they've won comfortably the last couple to see them over the line. In the end, they're actually promoted by 6 points. I mean, it was so tight, wasn't it? We were all saying it was
really good. They were only a point behind Leicester in the end. Yeah. They weren't that far off.
No, and we're all saying, Leeds and Southampton are dead close to them. Well, they've beaten Leeds by 6 points, and they've beaten Southampton by 9.
Leeds didn't help that Leeds only won one game in the last 6, so
and they lost.
But
it'd be good to have it switched back though. It's nice to have a bit of a different team coming back up. I think they were everyone's championship team this year, especially after they had such a good start. They do play some nice football. It's easy on the eye.
Yeah.
They get their wing backs forward, get some crosses in the box, and it'd be interesting to see how they develop over summer and whether they'll have a chance to stay up. I think they're not the budget that Leicester are going to have, but if they can buy the right people and they use their budget smartly, then
I think I think they're going to be very much like Luton are this season. They will probably be able to afford to buy a couple of new players, but they're not going to be breaking the budget. Like you said, like a team like Leicester will, and if Leeds or Southampton go up, they'll probably spend quite a bit of money as well. But like Luton have this season, they've been a bit on the cautious side with spending money just in case, they were to go back down. But they've got a fairly decent side. So it'll be good to see what they did. They got one of Chelsea's players as well, Mari Hutchinson, who scored a few goals in the last couple of games as well. And they've got Tuanzebe as well, haven't they?
You've got from that league. So he's got
Kiefer Moore. He's promoted again with a different club. I think he's only on loan, isn't he? I think he's on loan, isn't he? So they could go in for someone like him again on loan.
Yeah.
he's had Premier League experience, hasn't he, with Bournemouth? So it's not like it's not familiar for him. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And see who they can bring in. I mean, Connor Chaplin's their top goal scorer, I think. When I last checked,
yeah,
he's got 13 goals, same as Broadhead. But yeah, I mean,
they will
quickly
they will need to
look at the. Yeah, they definitely will. Just looking at the playoffs: Leeds versus Norwich, Southampton, West Brom.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Norwich beating Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds haven't been on form, and Norwich have been. I know they lost game. Norwich have had a decent end to the season.
Yeah.
They were chased quite hard by Hull for that final spot.
I think Southampton will beat West Brom over 2 legs. I think the playoff final will be Southampton Norwich. I think Southampton might go up.
Yeah,
Back up.
Southampton, I think, would be my favourites to win the playoffs. I think. I'm not too. The thing is, there's always a form team going into the playoffs, and out of the 4 of them, you'd probably say it's actually Norwich, but they've obviously just snuck in 6th.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wouldn't it be a sort of bittersweet moment for the Ipswich fans that they're in the Premier League for the first time in God knows how long, but Norwich are the team that they've gone up with. But it would be nice to see that derby back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's a feisty game, that one, every time they play. So it'd be good to have them both back. But yeah, my head says Southampton.
Southampton, yeah. I just got a feeling that they'll go up.
They beat them comfortably at the weekend, and I think if those teams were to get through to the final, having played each other in the last game of the season, I know it was only 2-1, but yeah, Southampton were in control, and it was at Ellen Road as well. So I think that'll give a huge psychological advantage to Saints.
And the gap between one of your rivals has increased. Birmingham City.
Yes.
That you shed a tear when you saw that they got relegated.
Yeah. And as you know, Chris, I was wearing a Birmingham City shirt at the time because it was my stag do.
It's a secret. It's just secret fetish. He likes dressing up in Birmingham City shirts when they get relegated.
Wonderfully arranged by my stag party that I was wearing a Birmingham City shirt. So yes, when they were announced as being relegated to League One, we'd just come off the go-kart track, and I was in a Birmingham City shirt, so it made the moment a little bit better. I can't say I was too keen on being in that shirt, but it just made the moment a little bit nicer. And I did have a few people come up to me throughout the evening, consoling me on my relegation to League One. And I had to explain that actually, no, this is a stag party, and I'm an Aston Villa fan, and I am delighted that they have been relegated.
I mean, in a different universe, maybe you could have had your stag do in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And they could have got you to wear a Villa shirt out on a night out in Birmingham after they'd got relegated.
Yes. Well, there are rules in Birmingham City Centre. I don't think you're allowed football shirts in and around the clubs and pubs of the Birmingham Centre. So I might not have had many drinks that night if I had done. But probably for the best, I think, if that had happened. But yeah, they're in a bit of a strange position at the moment, Birmingham.
Aren't they like thinking about like building this new stadium?
Yeah, the owners want to build a 60,000 seater stadium in the middle of Birmingham.
I'm not sure you'd be able to feel that in League One, but
in League One, and obviously they're owned by Tom Brady as well, who's obviously huge, like a massive NFL star. So they've got these exciting owners that kind of want to do a Wrexham, I think, by the sounds of it. But they want to get Birmingham to the place Wrexham were when they got took over. So
funny enough, they'll be playing each other next season.
Yeah.
So, and just one more thing in the Championship. Quite strangely, Hull City sacking Rossignol today, which
make the playoffs.
seems really, really strange, considering when he took them over sort of 18 months ago, they were fighting relegation.
Yeah, and he gave them a good playoff run this year.
Yeah.
I am a bit strange. I do feel a bit strange why that's happened. They've had some good moments this year. Like, I think, I know, again, I'm a little bit biased, but Jaden Philogene has probably been one of the most, sought after players in the Championship. Maybe as they haven't gone up, there might be a Premier League team that gives him a go, because he's got goals in the league for them this year, and he's been impressive, for a winger. He was someone that I always liked in the Villa Academy as well. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange decision, but I can only think that, they've sort of reset the target and said, well, if you're going to get in the playoffs, then go for it. But if not, we'll find us someone to take that step next season.
I see one of the favourites is Steve Bruce for the job.
Done before,
yeah, I mean, I didn't realise Billy Sharp was actually at Hull City either. Till literally 2 seconds ago when I looked.
Thought he was long retired.
No, he's there. I mean, I say he's playing, but he's had half a game here and there. I mean, I don't think he's actually scored for them this season. So it looks like he joined in January, because he was at LA Galaxy, wasn't he, for a bit? So yeah, that's a little rundown of the Championship, and that's the end of part 1. And in part 2, we'll be back with some Wonders of Why, Who Am I, and a quiz. Hello, welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode, and we're going to go into some Wonders of Why.
Do it.
First, there is a couple of Chelsea ones there, I'm not going to lie. I kind of got a bit lucky with the Chelsea ones. But anyway, so one day before his 22nd birthday, Cole Palmer became only the 3rd player in the Premier League history to reach 30 plus goal involvements in a single season while aged 21 or younger. So he's got 21 goals, 9 assists. The 2 other players are Robbie Fowler, who actually did it he did it in back-to-back seasons, Fowler, between 94 and 96, and Chris Sutton in the 93-94 season.
Oh, that wasn't a name I was expecting to hear.
No, me neither. So both have got 30. So if he gets one more, he has broken a record.
There you go.
But he won't break the record because he is now 22. So
yeah, true.
So Chelsea have won 9 of their last 11 Premier League home games. And that's 1 draw, 1 loss. So since the start of December, they have the joint most home wins, level with Arsenal on 9, and the most home points, level with Man City, 28.
Wow.
There you go. So definitely heading in the right direction. That.
Absolutely.
Callum Wilson. So Callum Wilson's goal at the weekend was his 47th Premier League goal for Newcastle, which makes him their 2nd highest ever goal scorer.
There you go. It's a long way to go for first, right?
Which is, he is 101 behind Alan Shearer. So, yeah. So I don't think he's going to break that record. But 40 seemed quite low to me when I first read that. But yeah,
he's been injured a lot, hasn't he? I think he's missed a total of nearly 2 seasons out injured for them. But when he plays, he does tend to score.
And the last one, so the success rate of 91% of penalties this season have gone in, which is the highest in the competition's history. So currently you have a 9 in 10 chance of scoring a penalty.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer has scored all of his.
A little bit less than the 9 in 10 chance when you've got Emi Martinez in goal. Just saying. You know, he loves the penalty save, doesn't he?
Yeah. To be fair, he wasn't on the pitch when Chelsea played them. We did get a penalty, but he wasn't in goal, was he?
No, he wasn't playing.
Okay, that's end of Wonders of White.
Nice.
So, quiz. Now, this is a bit of a random quiz. And we have done something similar to this in the past. So, I've got... How many questions have I actually got? I've got 5 questions. Each one has multiple answers. And you need to give me as many answers as you can. But if you give me one wrong answer, then you lose all your points.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I guess do as much as you know, and then you can lay on the cautious side of if you want to give away some points.
Okay.
So the first one, so they are fairly easy, and then the last 2 are actually no. The 4th question is going to be quite easy for you, but the very last one, good luck with that one.
Okay. Crash it on.
So the first one is which 6 Premier League clubs have the lowest ground capacity?
Like in terms of attendance figures.
In relation to how many they can actually fit in their ground.
Okay. So Bournemouth, I think, are bottom.
That's one.
Or maybe Luton are bottom now, but they've both got to be in there.
Correct.
Then it gets a little bit more tricky because there's quite a few teams around the, I'm going to say, 20 to 30,000 mark.
I'll tell you now, the team that have the 6th lowest are 3,000 behind the team that are 14th on this list.
Okay, so it is a bit tight.
So there is a bit of a 3,000 difference.
Okay, so I think I'm going to say Brentford.
They're on the list.
I think I'm going to say Burnley.
Correct. That's 4 out of 6 so far. Are you going to risk?
And then it's getting quite close. I don't know how many Brighton's ground holds, but I think that's about the same as Brentford. But I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to call it there. Or do I get one life? Do I get one wrong answer?
I'll tell you what. I'll give you a life.
Okay. If I can have a life, I'm going to guess Brighton for my 15.
You've used your life.
Okay, fair enough. I will call it a day.
So you got 4 out of 6. The other 2 are Fulham.
Oh yeah, cool.
And Crystal Palace.
That was the other one I was thinking of, but I couldn't remember how many people it actually held. Yeah, I forgot all about Fulham actually.
Okay, next one, question 2. So which 10 clubs have scored the most FA Cup goals this season?
Oh. Man City have got to be.
That's 1.
It's going to be clubs that started in the prelim qualifying round.
I will tell you this. I will tell you now. There is no team on this list lower than the Championship.
Oh, okay, all right. That's helpful.
I think this is probably taken from the first round forward.
Okay. Oh, fair enough. Okay, so Coventry have got to be in there then.
Number 2, they've actually scored the most.
I mean, Man United
3.
in the final, so they can't be far off. I can't think if there was any massive score lines. I can't even think of who made it that far. Liverpool played United. I'll go with Liverpool.
4.
I can't remember how far Arsenal got competition. We certainly didn't get very far. I can't remember how Spurs got on either. I might have to leave it there.
I'll give you a clue. So of the 6 left, 3 are in the Championship and 3 are in the Premier League.
Okay.
I'll give you a second clue. The teams that you've just talked about aren't on this list.
Oh, okay. So then, okay, fine. I'm struggling to think who made it to the quarterfinals. So, did Leicester make it to the quarterfinals? Tell you what, Blackburn made it quite far. I'm going to take a gamble and go with Blackburn.
5.
They made it to the quarters, didn't they? They played, I want to say, Newcastle. I'm going to go with Newcastle.
Not on the list.
Oh, gutted. Should have took my win.
The other teams were Chelsea. They got to the semi-final. Leeds, Brighton, Leicester and Wolves were the other 5 teams. Okay, next one. So I'm looking for 8 Spanish managers who have won the Premier League Manager of the Month competition.
Oh, well, Emery's up there because he's definitely won it for us this season.
That's 1.
Guardiola's got to have won it.
2.
Arteta's got to have won it.
3.
Roberto Martinez has got to have won it.
4.
Yeah. Spanish managers. Rafa Benitez.
Is number 5.
Trying to think whether you've had any more Spanish managers.
We haven't had that many managers. I'll give you a clue. One of them is in the Premier League right now. He won it this year.
Oh, okay. Right, let's go through. Here's the top 6. Yeah, Guardiola and I've already said Guardiola and Arteta, haven't I? So it's got to be someone in the chasing pack. What's his name for Bournemouth? Irola.
Yeah, that's number 6.
I've got 2 more, have I?
Yeah.
Right. I might call it a day there. I'm struggling.
Okay, the other one was Javi Garcia and Quique Sanchez Flores.
I wouldn't have been anywhere near either of them.
The other 2.
Okay.
So you got 6 points there. Here we go. Here's one you might know. So 9 players sold by Aston Villa for the highest fees.
Oh. Okay.
Now, when I did this, I had to double check because the one was like 15 million, and I thought there's no way that they've not had more money. But apparently, I'm only going by what I've been told.
Okay. So Christian Benteke
Is 1,
Jack Grealish.
2.
Gareth Barry
Isn't on the list.
I'll
let you off. I'll let you off that one. You go.
I should have stopped myself in time. No, I've got the wrong one. It should be Milner.
That's right,
think.
yeah.
I'm not.
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delph.
No, it was not on the list.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I didn't do as well as I'd hoped there.
So I had Stuart Downing on this list.
Yeah, to Liverpool.
Chukwuemeka.
Oh yeah.
Archer. Ashley Young.
Yeah.
Matty Target. And Danny Ings.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't have even entered my head, actually. When you think, I know we've not been an amazing Premier League side, but we've had some decent players that have gone on to do good things.
Yeah.
How is Delph not on that list when he kicked up such a fuss about I am staying and then I'm going, and we were robbed.
I think Danny Ings, he was the one on he was just ahead of target. I think he was, I want to say like 16 or 17, I think it was. Anyway, your last one. Oh boy. So this is 10 nations that have failed to qualify for the Asian Cup finals 6 or more times.
Oh God.
So, I guess this is the equivalent to the Euros over here.
Yeah.
This is quite tricky.
Okay.
So
this is where geography, hopefully.
Yeah. So if you can get hold of a map somehow of Asia, I'm actually going to give you 3 lives for this one.
Okay.
So you'll get 3 lives.
If they've only been like a national side for like 3 tournaments, they're not going to be included. So they've got
because it's 6 or more. Yeah, they've tried 6 or more times to qualify.
Okay.
And they have
Asian Games.
So I'll give you 3 lives, and then sort of I'll throw in some.
Can I ask how many teams are in the Asian Games, or how many teams were in the last tournament?
Let me have a look for you. I'll find out for you.
Because it'll narrow it. Because if it's like 8 teams, then I know I've got quite a big pool to guess from. But if it's like 32 teams, then I'm...
So the last one was played in 2020. Oh, goodness me. It was played in Qatar last time. Let me just see if I can find the thingy. Okay. Ooh. Group stage, right. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 groups of 4. So there's 24 teams qualify for this tournament.
I was hoping you're going to be like, yeah, there's 2 groups of...
No.
Okay, so there's 24 teams.
Yeah.
So I am going to, so I've got 3 lives, right? So I can have a few guesses, right? So I will say India for my first guess.
India are not on the list.
Oh, that's a bad start.
I will say now that 2 of these teams are probably more cricket nations than they are football nations.
So Pakistan then have got to
Pakistan, yeah, they've failed the most times. They've failed 11 times to qualify.
Okay. I've got 1. That's good. Okay, so around there will be Sri Lanka then, cricket.
That's another one.
I will also go, so India have qualified, and Thailand must have qualified. So I'll go with Nepal.
They are on the list. Yeah.
Another one, yes. Okay, now we're cooking. I will go with, there's going to be some weird islands. I can't think of them off the top of my head.
You can get a map, if you can get hold of a map on your phone.
Right.
An Asian map.
Asian map. I'm just going to use my sat nav. Right. Let's go to Asia. Right. So we've had India, we've had Pakistan, had Sri Lanka, and we had, who else did I say? I can't remember now.
Nepal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. So I will go with, I don't know. Vietnam are quite a big country. I will go with the Philippines.
They're not on the list.
Oh no, I've only got one more life. Okay.
I'll give you another clue. There is one team that are made up of, I would say, of about 20 different islands south of India.
The Maldives?
Correct.
They've tried to qualify that many times. I wouldn't even thought they had a football pitch because it's all just nice sandy beaches.
I don't know where they actually, I don't know how they choose which island they're playing on.
We'll go, right, let's go with, it's getting difficult. Okay, I will go with Laos.
Not on the list.
Oh no.
We're going to keep playing, don't worry.
Okay.
I'll give you another clue. There is one of the teams borders Pakistan and Iran.
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, correct.
I didn't even think it went sort of that far west. But now I know.
Next one.
Uzbekistan are in the European one?
I'm actually not too sure.
I don't know. I'm going to say that that's about as far west as...
Your next one, I would say, is probably... let's go with them. I would say this country might speak half Russian, half Chinese.
Oh, Mongolia.
Correct.
That was a big clue there. That was a big
Yeah.
clue.
The next one, I would say...
Can I guess another one without a
clue? Yeah, guess. Yeah.
I'm going to guess, because I've just sort of going through the Himalayas, now you've gone through Mongolia. I'm going to go with Bhutan.
Yes, they're on the list.
Yes.
So we need 3 more.
Right, let's do this.
The next one is down here. Probably I would say this one is one of the smallest countries south of China. And it's probably that's the one.
Nice. The Sultan will not be happy.
2 more.
Right. Are they islands?
So this one, I would say on any map that you looked at, this one looks like it's actually part of China.
Tricky China.
It's a hang on, let me just...
Taiwan?
Not Taiwan. Not too far from Hong Kong.
I don't know.
It's Macau.
Macau?
Yeah.
Oh, there is a Macau. It looked like a city on my map.
Yeah, it looks like it's a city within China, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, they speak Portuguese there, which blew my mind.
Go.
And we've got one more.
One more to guess.
It's a 4-letter country beginning with G.
Oh, it's Guam.
Guam, correct. It's an island.
Yeah.
I believe just almost, I would say, well, it's not, it's in the middle of the ocean, basically.
It is in the middle of the ocean.
Quite far from the Philippines and quite far, it's about the same as far away as Australia.
Yeah. It's by the Northern Mariana Islands.
Yeah. So that's the
it's like the deepest point on Earth. There you go.
So what I did learn from this is if you are in the Asian Cup qualifiers, you've got a lot of miles to travel.
Yeah. In Afghanistan.
Yeah, and I think let me just double check. Let me have a look. The past winners include Israel.
Oh, so it goes even that far.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hong Kong won the first one in 1956. No, they didn't. South Korea, won the first one. Israel were actually runners up for the first two and then won it in 1964.
There you
go. But it looks like that Japan and Iran and Saudi Arabia are probably the three most successful teams. Burma got to the final in 1968. Kuwait have got to the final. China have only been in the final twice. And Australia have only been in the final twice. Qatar have won it the last 2 years. And the next one, if anyone's interested, is in Saudi Arabia in 2027.
There you go. I remember last year's happening. I couldn't remember who won it.
It's the most. 24 teams is the most it's ever been. When it was actually first created, there was only 4 teams.
Okay.
South Korea, Israel, Hong Kong, and South Vietnam. And then Hong Kong pulled out the next tournament, and it was South Korea, Israel, China, South Vietnam. And then the year after, for some reason, Hong Kong were back in with South Korea, India, and Israel. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's something a bit different.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I don't got many points, but I enjoyed it.
I was just going to say you got 10, 20, 30 points.
Okay, thanks for making up a number for me. That's
right, so you've got the Who Am I?
I do have the Who Am I. I genuinely don't know how this one's going to go, so I'm just going to read out the clubs. It's either going to be one I think you get in 2 seconds or one you don't get at all, but we'll see.
Am I hearing all the clubs or?
Yeah, all the clubs.
Okay.
All the clubs from a retired player. So, started in Marseille.
Well, I always like the first team because it always gives me hopefully a bit of a giveaway. Yeah.
Then moved to Arsenal. Then AC Milan. Then back to Arsenal. Crystal Palace, and then finally Getafe.
Ended at Getafe?
Ended at Getafe. Just the 6 clubs for this player, and he played for one of those clubs twice.
He played for Arsenal twice. Well, he's French, so...
Doesn't give much away for Arsenal.
I was about to say 90% of their team in the early noughties were French. I guess it's just going to be a case of me trying to remember all the French players they had and ones that I know that didn't play for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um, ooh. Yeah, they've had a lot of French players. I'm trying to think when did he retire?
He retired in 2019.
Okay, so you said Arsenal was his second team.
Yeah, and his fourth.
So that makes me think that he might have been mid-noughties to late noughties. Oh boy. I've got all these French players in my head, but I just know it's not them. It's not Wiltor, it's not Henry, not Vieira, not Petit. You know what? You've got me on.
Well, for a few clues.
If you've got clues, then
so let's see. I can offer you the number of caps he had for France, or I can offer you the date ranges for any of the teams.
I mean, you give me the date range for maybe Crystal Palace, but I don't think
probably doesn't help you as much.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think Eva's going to help me because I can't think.
Okay, so I'll give you the date ranges for all the teams, and I'll tell you that he had 3 caps for France between 2008.
Oh boy.
He started his career in the year 2003. He started his senior career in 2003 with Marseille. Moved to Arsenal in 2004. Then stayed for 4 years and went to Milan in 2008. Then he stayed there for 5 years before coming back to Arsenal until 2016. And then Crystal Palace, he played, well, he didn't really play for them, but he did for 1 year between 2016 and 2017. And then finally, I think he retired and then came out of retirement for Getafe 2018 to 2019. I don't know if any of that helps.
No. I have no idea who it is.
Not even a guess?
It's just the date ranges you just give me are nowhere near where I was hoping it was going to be. And all the French players I can think of now still playing that they had, like Guendouzi and things like that, and it's not him. That's not. What position did he play?
He played as a defensive midfielder. And I will just get the calculator out. So what I'll do is I'll tell you how many appearances he made for Arsenal. So I'm going to add up the 2 spells he had with them, and my brain isn't mathing. So this is in all competitions. He played 246 times for Arsenal. And he scored, something I can add up, 13 goals. Still no idea?
I can't.
I will put you out of your misery, Chris.
Go on.
Is Matthew Flamini.
Oh my word. I don't think I'd ever have gotten that.
The reason that I did this, Chris, is because I just happened to come across, I think it was an article on careers after football. And Matthew Flamini
is he like a millionaire? Billy?
He is the co-founder of a biochemicals company.
Yeah, no.
The first company to mass-produce levulinic acid. So yeah, he is a biochemist and has done very well out of it. He made, sort of, I guess, environmentally friendly pharmaceuticals and fuels and stuff like that.
If you'd have told me that, I would have got it straight away. That's funny, isn't it? A non-football clue would have probably got it, because I vaguely remember reading an article about him before.
Yeah, he has a contract with the US Department of Energy to provide his substance to help unlock a greener world. Apparently, this is according to Wikipedia. So who knows how true it is? But yeah, that's his career after football. It was quite an unusual one. He was named People of the Year by NME in 2015.
Oh, right.
So I just thought I'd add him in because he was a player that I'd sort of half forgotten about, or put to the back of my mind at least. But he did play a lot for Arsenal back in the day.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he was a decent midfielder, to be fair to him. But yeah, I don't remember him playing for Palace. But apparently he played 13 times for Crystal Palace.
That was a good one.
There you go. I did this week.
Okay, that's it for this week, and we'll be back next week.